Here goes Vincent Diaz Jr., formerly, according to the last psych doctor I talked to, General of the Army. Unneeded mask required by law in some places. Refurbishing process. Okay, so we have our masks. And I have a disposable one I found disposed of, from what I could tell, that I just picked up and started to use after it was used, because I was in the situation of needing one, and that was the only way I could have one. And now I'm going to teach what I've learned of how to refurbish it, even though I used it for a long time, just as it was. But I've noticed it irritates my face, it harshes my breathing processes, and I believe this is just the standard of using one of these things. Because I know, as the different species I am, known as Archangel, as an Archangel, not human, these things aren't made for me. And it's probably made to kill humans within the standard 80 to 100 years or 60 to 100 years or whatever. You know, these things are just made to kill, and it's clear, and they stink, and they harm the face, and they harm the hair on the face, and they won't let you breathe right, and if you have to breathe heavy, you might die if you don't take it off, or it works really good and restricts every breath. Anyway, I'm going to show how to refurbish one, because of all the restrictions in place requiring them that should not be in place, because they're basically attempted murder. Okay, so here is mine. That's right, so here it is. And I have a solution here. I'm calling this a solution, I'm using my scientific terms. This is hemp and strawberries. I sort of clipped the strawberries up into really small pieces, sort of like this, but they weren't exactly treated like that. And then I put them in the water, and then I removed them from the water, but the whole time they were in the water, there was hemp in the water. I don't exactly have a really good picture of the hemp. It was Russian hemp. So I drew some hot water from the tap and had Russian hemp in it, broken up, as well as in big pieces, like this big piece here. And there's hemp in the water, and I tried to remove all the tiny strawberry pieces from the water because they were starting to go bad, but the tinge to the water is from the strawberries. So now I'll show you my process. This is a brand new plastic cup. I'm at a hotel. It's a hotel cup. It's brand new though, so I'm going to go ahead and, well, I don't think I need to fill the cup. This was a mistake I made last time. So I put a bunch of water, I put a bunch of my solution. I'm calling it my wash water. I also use this to wash a bunch of things. I use this to put on my wash rag and wash my body with. And I use it to wash down my counters and stuff. So here I am with the mask, sort of rolling it up or sort of bunching it up. And I know the cords won't get cleaned. Anyway, I have the solid piece on top. The top of it is the top, and the bottom of it is on the bottom. And this is how I've been refurbishing it. It did really good on the last round, but I didn't take it out to breathe through it. On my first attempt, I just sort of ran my wash water down it, and I probably shouldn't have used it straight from the bucket. I probably should have poured it into something before running it down it. So this is the second dunking of the mask to try to refurbish it, and that is a disposable mask from what I can tell. So there it is. It's been submerged, it's been crushed. I hear some of these, if you do this right, will sort of puff up and grow up in the water, and you can tell if you crush them down like I just sort of did. By the time they puff up all the way to the top of the water, they're done. This one's not doing it so much. And I've started to notice that these sort of smell like Frito-Lays. they sort of smell like that terrible Frito-Lay mistake that was made. They smell like these terrible, terrible corn chips, because we had this terrible corn chip smell killing people problem in this nation a long time ago, or in the industry a long time ago. Anyway, by the time it's dry, it should have a real nice feel, like it's hempen, or it's been treated by hemp. And I have to warn everybody, they might fail their hemp test on a false marijuana charge or whatever. If you take a marijuana test, it might false for hemp, although it's far-fetched when you're not actually ingesting it except for skin digestion. And you can kind of see, I've used this one for like months now, many weeks. And I'm not giving up on this disposable one, and I'm not using another one because I don't get COVID as it is. But I suspect nobody's going to be in COVID danger from refurbishing these like this. And I suggest you give it much more time in the hemp bath than I did, or the hemp dousing. Okay, you can't see exactly what's going on here. I'm just giving up on the camera shot so I can hang it. And here it is. It's hanging to dry. They dry relatively quickly if you haven't noticed by being in the rain with them and stuff, which I noticed before treating them. And I've noticed the cords won't exactly go clean. They're dirty from being behind my ears and stuff. Anyway, that's about it. And the formula for the solution to dunk them in is tiny pieces of strawberry, like you've clipped them up, like broken them up like you would the hemp. Sort of like it's marijuana, because hemp sort of works like marijuana, but it is not. And then it's supposed to create a special solution in the water. And again, you should probably start the water out as hot as it comes out from the tap. And then you you have the hemp in it when you're drawing the water, or you put it in right after that. And maybe you want the strawberries in it right away, the strawberry pieces in it right away, but I think I didn't put the strawberry pieces in it till later. And then it has to stand for quite a while to actually get to its potency state, like it's taken up a color. Let's see here, see. It still smells like Frito-Lays, but it didn't when I first wore it, but it definitely stunk like something. But that one smells like Frito-Lays, like it's one of the many, like probably mostly all of them, have been put through the process of protecting people from the Frito-Lay freakout, or whatever we're going to call it. But by the time it dries, it'll probably smell like strawberries and hemp. And for the most part, it's nice to touch like it's hempen, or it's sort of nice to touch like it's hemp. And I used it recently after its first attempted refurbishing, when I just sort of poured the hemp wash water down on it. I just sort of poured it on it and let it fall off it and got it wet, but I didn't actually submerge it like I am in these processes. And it refurbished it really nice, except for the seams, which were irritating my face so much that it hurt and itched and burned. And I think that was over some really terrible salt in some popcorn I had eaten that was getting on my face, that was doing those symptoms to me, that I probably haven't fully washed off because I haven't wiped out my beard recently. And I'm hoping that now that I've submerged it, and I haven't submerged it and ringed it and submerged it and ringed it or anything like that, like you might want to try if yours isn't doing so well, because I'm trying to be nice to it, because it's a reusable one and I'm afraid it will die off before I want, like before a billion uses or whatever. A billion breaths, a trillion breaths, I don't know. So, this is my mask refurbishing process. And on my first try of just pouring the water down it, it did really nice, except the seams seemed to have the worst part of my skin and hair, facial hair chemistry concentrate into them to harsh me after I had refurbished them. So now I've tried to make sure that I've submerged it. I've submerged them into the hempen solution, so I know I've treated the seams really well with the hempen solution, and they even seem to give the special hemp nourishment feelings. It's sort of like a sugar high, but it's different. But it's not actually a drug high because hemp isn't a drug. And I've noticed the mask definitely looks cleaner. The mask definitely looks better than it did before I treated it. The straps are still showing signs of being dirty. Like they're dirty, like behind my ears get dirty because I can't control that. Or I'm supposed to wash every time before I put it on or something to control that. And the solution to submerge them in, and maybe you'll even have to submerge them and wring them out, and submerge them and wring them out over and over. Although I hear the process is, although they don't do it right, to submerge them, you wrap them up, you sort of roll them up, and then you submerge them into the hempen solution, and then you sort of push them down and crunch them down a little bit, and then they're supposed to sort of grow up and float up after you've done that. And it's like, that's the process. They're done, although mine won't do it, and mine terribly stinks like Frito-Lays during this process, like it's just totally telling on the old Frito-Lay freakout where people were dying from working at the Frito-Lay factories and having to smell the Frito-Lay smells. Maybe I shouldn't say these specific words, but I think I'll get away with it. Maybe I should just say corn chips. And my solution is it's Russian hemp. I got Russian hemp for about $160 for a pound. And then I drew the hottest water out of the tap I could, into my ice bucket here at the hotel I'm staying at. And I had the hemp in it already, as best I could have it in it. And then I sort of broke up my strawberries. Let's see if I can show this. So then I break up the strawberries, and I also do this for my soaps and stuff. And I just sort of like do this like I'm breaking up the hemp, sort of like a person breaks up marijuana, even though this isn't a drug and it's not marijuana, it's just very similar. This is not marijuana, but I'm sort of breaking it up like it, and I break the hemp up like this too. So then I just sort of break up the fruits as best I can to make these solutions, and then I have my broken up fruits that go into the solution, like I was talking about, the hottest water out of the tap with the Russian hemp. And some of it was broken up, and some of it was in the bigger pieces. And then it takes a while. You have to just leave it to sit and set and sort of steep. You know, it might even take a week. And mine has changed colors from plain water. Although the Russian hemp makes a difference because it goes green and stuff. Anyway, you have to give it some time. Like, you might want to give it a week to just sit in decent conditions. Maybe you want to agitate it. I don't suggest stirring it if you're going to use something to stir it with. but maybe you sort of wanted to shake it or like rotate it. Maybe you wanted to sort of take it and just sort of swish it around in circular patterns, trying to create a whirlpool with it. That might be reasonable because you don't introduce the next variable to the liquid, like some sort of stir stick that might be your source of poison to ruin doing it right. Okay, so that's my method. And I've let it dry once before this next time, and I submerged it the first time, and I gave it a good while. I gave it at least an hour to stay submerged. And, well, unfortunately, it still smells like Frito-Lays, or it still smells like corn chips, but it's still wet. And I know when it dried the first time, after I just poured my solution down it, once it dried, it didn't smell like that. And I took it out today, and I wore it today, and it smelled decent today, and it just sort of stunk like my stink breath, like it does sometimes, like around the other humans, because it's like they're made of poison and they draw the poisons out from me or something. But it did hurt my jawline because the bottom seam seemed to have absorbed all the salts it had encountered that could harsh me. But now I've dunked it in the solution twice, once with an hour's sit, but I haven't dunked it in the solution and wrung it out and dunked it in the solution and wrung it out before I'm just going to try to give up and get a washboard and just rub it up and down the washboard. But I'm never going to try a washing machine because I just can't trust that sort of automation. Anyway, it was much, much better today than it's been ever. And it didn't have the terrible, terrible chemical smell or chemical introduction of the breath I was taking through it usually does. And it felt really nice to the touching feel of it. Although I didn't touch that seam I'm complaining about. It sort of felt fluffy and nice. Although it didn't exactly give me the hemp high you get from touching hemp. And it was clearly in better shape from my refurbishing process than it was before. So after like a month's worth of use, although I barely use it, I only use it to get past the gate check at this hotel I'm staying at, and to get in and shop and get out of the market I'm shopping at, and then to get back into the hotel I'm staying at. So that's my mask refurbishing process. There should really be no mask laws, and it's clear, and they're basically attempted murder for trying to create a new class that you have to be in to get services or to get through checkpoints or to even be out in public. It's just all attempted murder. Conspiracy to murder. Conspiracy to attempt to murder. That's all it is in the basic logic of law. But this is my process. It's worth trillions and zillions of dollars. Send me donations because you can look me up and figure out how if you have success. Because I'll save you money. When you save on that next 10 boxes of masks, send me the savings for the cost of one of those boxes of masks in donations because I need money to help you save more money. And support hemp. And this probably won't work without hemp. Good luck.